Hi everyone, and welcome to day one of Vlogmas. So you can see I am surrounded by books, and I was wanting to do a December TBR, but I haven't done like monthly TBRs for a while, with the exception of Victober, and there's so much I want to get to, but I realized I do actually have this sort of system that I do without even realizing that it was a system, and that is that I put kind of all the books I'm interested in the near future, you know, that I'm interested in sooner rather than later, on the windowsill over here. And one of the things about living in an old row home that is a plus is that the windowsills are very deep. So it has become like an inadvertent, Kate is really interested in reading these books sooner rather than later, bookshelf. So I'm just gonna call it my my windowsill books, and so these are all the ones that I'll be putting there. I pass by them every day, and do more of my reading downstairs than upstairs, so it's convenient, since this is downstairs, to have that. So without further ado, first, the books that I am planning on for the Cloak and Dagger Christmas. In case you didn't hear, I am hosting a mystery readathon in the month of December, and just calling it Cloak and Dagger Christmas. There are no challenges except just to read mysteries. I thought about doing challenges, but then I thought, you know what, let's just spread the mystery love and people can have fun doing that, and it will just be good to do it that way. So a couple I wanted to have the summary ready in case I couldn't remember them. So for the books that aren't here physically, that I put a picture of, I did get some early Christmas money, which I purchased some books with, and I had so much fun picking them out. Or I'm checking some out from the library. Between those two, those, you know, will be where all the books are coming from. Or I guess I'm planning on the ebook or like audiobook of them. So the first is one that I found looking around a book depository. Now there are the British Library Crime Classics Christmas editions, so there's kind of those, and then these are called the, I think it's Vintage Christmas Classics. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. So anyhow, it is, but it's called Another Little Christmas Murder by Lorna Nicole Morgan, and it has the most picturesque wintry cover, and this woman, Dilys Hughes, finds herself snowbound, and driver picks her up, whose name is Inigo Brown, very dramatic, and they arrive at his uncle's remote country house, wintry walled. And it says the couple encounters a less than warm welcome from Inigo's new young aunt. So I think there's some like dynamics in the house that he's not sure what's going on there. I did see one of the reviews. They said that the publisher just changed the name of the book and inserted the word Christmas, like it's not a Christmassy one. But I'm okay with like a wintry house with snow. I count that as Christmassy. It doesn't have to be like explicitly Christmas for me to want to read it at Christmas. I do have certain ones here that are Christmas murder mysteries, but they don't have to be that way for me to want to read them. Then I have The Mischief of the Mistletoe by Lauren Willig. Now this is, I am jumping in the middle of a series here. It's a romance, historical romance series, but this one has mystery in it. I'm not sure if all of the other ones have mystery or not, but it looks really fun, and the main reason I wanted to read it was it's Arabella Dempsey. Her dear friend Jane Austen warned her against teaching, and so she goes to the Select Seminary for Young Ladies, and then she accepts a position at a quiet girls' school in Bath, expecting to face nothing more exciting than conducting the annual Christmas recital. She hardly imagines coming face to face with French aristocrats and international spies. So I actually have access to the audiobook of this through Hoopla. I think that could be a really fun audiobook. And then continuing with the Jane Austen Christmas theme, there's also the Jane and the 12 Days of Christmas. And this is where Jane Austen goes to visit a friend, and it's by Stephanie Barron. Jane goes to visit a friend, and then there's all sorts of mysterious things happening. So I also have access to that audiobook. So those are two ones that can be really fun to have when I'm doing other things, when I'm baking or just cleaning, doing household things or wrapping presents, more exciting things. Those could be really fun. So yes, and are those and then I do have checked out the ebook of The Murder of Rodger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. I have had 2 recent successes with Agatha Christie. It will be my November wrap-up, and I never thought I would say I'd like Agatha Christie, but I think I might just be ready for her. So I'm picking up where I left off in the Hercule Poirot series, which I think this is the 4th one. Yes, so I'm looking forward to that. Setting that aside for now, then the other ones that I have physical copies of, like I said, I've had success with Agatha Christie recently, and I'm really just in the mood for more Golden Age murder. And Another Little Christmas Murder is written, I think it was written like 1950. And then continuing on with that theme is Five Red Herrings by Dorothy L. Sayers. I utterly adored Strong Poison, which is the first in the Lord Peter series that includes Harriet Vane. I don't think Harriet Vane is in this one as much, but I do want to be sequential at least with that part of the series. And so it says the body was on the pointed rocks alongside the stream. The artist might have fallen from the cliff for his painting, but there are too many suspicious elements. So yeah, I just really, really like the cleverness of these. But I do feel like you do also get to know Lord Peter, so I feel like it has more character development than maybe an Agatha Christie would have. So kind of best of both worlds, I think. Yes. Then continuing on with Christmassy murders, and I'm so excited. I'm going to buddy read this with Kate from the novel Nomad, and that is the Santa Claus Murder by Mavis Dorial Hay. So I talked earlier about the British literary crime classics. Christmas editions, and this is one of them. This was written in 1936, I think, and it takes place, 1936 in Flaxmere, which is a great name for an estate. And they in Flaxmere, the family patriarch is discovered by a guest dressed as Santa Claus with a bullet in his head on Christmas Day, and the festivities are plunged into chaos. So this is one actually Kate is waiting for her copy to arrive in the mail. So this is one that could be really fun to wait until last minute because it doesn't take place until Christmas Day. And it is not even 240 pages. So this will be a really quick, and I just think super duper fun read. I can blame Bookstagram on finding out about these British library crime classics, and the Bookstagrammers just make them look so beautiful. Then one that I'll put the more Christmassy cover up. And I almost just vainly wanted to buy the Christmassy edition of this, and then I was like, that's so silly. You have a perfectly acceptable edition of it, it just doesn't look as sparkly and shiny. So that is Envious Casca by Georgette Heyer. I didn't even realize this was a Christmas one until I was looking around and it's looking at like Golden Age Christmas mysteries, and this was on a list. So I have read a Georgette Heyer romance, and I think I'm just not the right candidate for a romance. I've read maybe a half dozen romances, and I'm just not really pulled in by any of them. But I haven't tried Georgette Heyer's mysteries, and this is also Golden Age. This came out in 1941, and there is a holiday party. And the owner of the substantial estate, Nathaniel Harriard, is found stabbed in the back. And the real conundrum is how any of the suspects could have entered a locked room to commit the foul deed. So I know the locked room mystery has really been done a lot, but I think it's a really neat notion. And I am interested to find out what Georgette Heyer will have to say about that. And also looking forward to trying a mystery from her. Okay, then one that is just the prettiest little book that Kate from the novel Nomad gifted to me last Christmas. I just love looking at it, and it It has P.D. James' name in red foil. It's so beautiful. This is The Mistletoe Murder and Other Stories. And also, I'll just show you, the jacket is like a mint, a real like frosty mint color. Oh, so pretty. Anyhow, I'm buddy reading this with Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures, and I'm really looking forward to it. We did not have success a couple months ago with the short story collection, Ghost short story collection we tried to read. So I said, I saw she was reading it, let's read this together. And I've been planning on reading it all year, ever since I got it from Kate last Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. I really have enjoyed, I think I've read 4 or 5 P.D. James. So having her in short story format, I think could be really fun. Then one that's been a long time coming, I started this before I entered my reading slump, I think, For the Sake of Elena by Elizabeth George. This is the 5th in the Inspector Lindley series. There's nothing wrong with this book. I think I just wasn't ready for it. I'd really like to finish this up before the year's out. We'll see if I do. I am just over 100 pages through this. There is a university student who is found murdered, and then it's made more complicated that she is deaf. And she was extremely independent and active, though, and so I just think it's interesting how how her deafness plays into how her family views her and other university students viewed her, kind of how they see her through that lens. So yes, I would like to finish that. Kate, I don't think Kate has finished it either, from the novel Nomad. We read through that series together, so we'll see. And then one Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures jogged my memory about is A Perilous Undertaking, Veronica Speedwell mystery. I really, really enjoyed the first one in the series, which name escapes me. So, A Curious Beginning. That's what it was. So I started this in September, and then I got sidetracked, I think, with Wheel of Time. Again, nothing wrong with this one either. I'm about 30 pages into this. This is a Victorian set mystery about Veronica Speedwell, who is a lepidopterist. That's such a hard word to say. She likes butterflies. It's just, I really do want to get to this. And I think Christmas time would be so fun to read a Victorian setting for a mystery. So I think those are all my Cloak and Dagger Christmas mysteries. Then moving on, I do have 2 Victorian ones that are like top priority Victorian books that I want to get to. And I think they're both very different, but they could be fun for different reasons. So if I want really intense melodrama, I will pick up The Heir of Redclyffe by Charlotte Young. This is one that Jo March adores in Little Women. They find her crying over it and eating apples. So I think it's going to be kind of a sensation novel, just very dramatic, very over the top, which could be really fun at Christmas time. Or if I want something a little bit more lighthearted, this is A Burglary by Amy Dilwyn, the same author who wrote the book that Katie from Books and Things really enjoyed, the Rebecca Riders. So this is about a burglary and kind of the repercussions in this little Welsh town. Also cool, it's by a Welsh author, and I really enjoyed Welsh Witch, so hopefully I would enjoy this one as well. Okay, then Christmassy, like really Christmassy reading that I have. These are the ones I want to, I'll feel especially in the mood before Christmas to read these. And the first is Christmas at Fairacre by Miss Reed. This is a bind-up of 3 of hers, and it's The Christmas Mouse, which I absolutely love. It's about this mother-in-law and her widowed daughter-in-law, and then the daughter-in-law has 2 little girls, and they're spending Christmas together and grieving over the loss of the son and husband. And it's just very, very sweet and cozy, like only Miss Reed Christmas can be. And then the other one that I love is No Holly for Miss Quinn. It's about a single woman going to help her take care of her nieces and nephews at Christmas time when the family really needs her to help them. And it just ends up being really sweet. There is also The Village Christmas in this, but the one time I read it, I didn't like it as much. So I might pick it up, but also then what I will be picking up, let's see if I can get it to show up in my Nook. I don't know if this will show up, so if it doesn't, forgive me, but this is Christmas at Thrush Green by Miss Reed. This will be a buddy read with Ange from Beyond the Pages, and this is the start of a really exciting project. Two lovely bookstagrammers. They're two of my like absolute favorite bookstagrammers because we have such similar taste. Book Musings, I always have trouble saying their names. Book Musings and Pages and Cup. I will link their pages down below. They are so beautiful, just so beautiful, their pages. They are doing a year-long read-along of the Miss Reed Thrush Green series. And I think they're reading one a month, and I think next year, even with having a baby, that Miss Reed is something that I would just like relish and savor reading, and it would be really easy to get through. Her books at most are 300 pages each, and they're so easy to pay attention to, and I think it just seems so doable. And I like having something reading-wise to look forward to that I feel like I can accomplish. So yes, that's the start of their read-along. Like I said, I'll link their pages down below. And I have not read this one. I think this one is written by Miss Reed and someone else, like after Miss Reed had died, or just someone else that it was approved by the estate. So I don't think it'll be like an accurate portrayal necessarily of the Thrush Green series, but I think it will be really fun to dive, you know, into the cozy town of Thrush Green. And then next month in January, I can't remember which one we're reading, but I look forward to, you know, diving into Miss Reed's original writing. Okay, then one that I am borrowing is Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is one I've wanted to read for several years, and it's really beautiful, and I think this is so fun. Tolkien, for years, had letters from Father. He wrote as Father Christmas to his children, and they wrote letters, you know, back and forth, and he tells them all about the North Pole and polar bears, and sends drawings, and so wonderful. I just love thinking, you know, the author of The Lord of the Rings writing these really sweet letters to his children. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and this is something I think I could just dip in and out of throughout the month, and it just seems really fun. So it's around 100 pages. Then one that I am picking up periodically with Peter. Full disclosure, I did not realize, I think until this year, that the Nutcracker was like a book before the ballet. It's by E.T.A. Hoffman. I did not know that. It's a Christmas fairy tale. So yes, I want to read it. Now this edition, I don't like this edition. This the illustrations are by Maurice Sendak, who did Where the Wild Things Are, and I think his illustrations are really ghoulish. I don't like how they look, but it was there. It was at the library. I want to read the Nutcracker, so I picked it up. Yeah, so I was looking around a book depository, like if I love this story, are there other editions that you know I could find illustrations I like, and there are. So yeah, illustrations aside, I'm going to read that. Then I picked up last year the first in the, what is it called? Gentleman Darcy series. It's a fan fiction Pride and Prejudice trilogy, and it's Pride and Prejudice from Darcy's perspective. I really enjoyed the first one. I don't typically binge series, and then I just forgot about this throughout the year. So there's Duty and Desire, which is the second one, and then these three remain. I would like to continue with this. Like I said, I did really enjoy the first one. So yes. Then one that it's always on my December TBR every year is A Christmas Carol. I don't think I'll be reading the chimes and the cricket on the hearth. I just don't feel that motivated. And I will be listening to the audiobook of this because I think it just lends itself so well to audiobook format. And then I do think I could possibly crave some modern classics this month. So these are kind of the top 4 that I'm interested in. Furrowed Middle Brow, if you remember, in the spring they sent me 3 books, and I was really excited. I've saved this one for the winter time because it's A Winter Away by Elizabeth Fair, And this sounds like it's just pretty typical like modern classic plot. There's, you know, lots of like interpersonal drama and kind of who's going to end up with who. And this woman is cataloging Mr. Fennison's library, and so I think they kind of fall in love. But it could be a nice treat. And then I have The Fountain Overflows by Rebecca West. This is one I've owned for years, and I read, where is it? 288 pages of when I was in college. And I only lacked like 100 pages until I finished it, and then I just got distracted with my classwork, and I haven't picked it up since. Again, nothing wrong with it. Really enjoyed it. I would obviously start it from the beginning again because it's been many years since I started it. Then I loved so much The Pursuit of Love by Nancy Mitford, and I thought, what more appropriate reading for December than Love in a Cold Climate? So this follows Polly Hampton, and I think we might see a few of the same characters from Pursuit of Love, but I think Wigs on the Green, which is the third in this series, we'll see more of them. But I could see this being a nice balm after Christmas. So I will not be too bummed if I don't get to this before Christmas. I do struggle in January always, like, what should I pick up for my reading? So this is one that I would not be too bummed if I didn't finish it before Christmas, and it could be a nice way to ease myself into January. Yes. And then I also have another modern classic is The Dean's Watch by Elizabeth Gouge. This takes place in an English town, and obviously, and there is, I think there is like a priest, and there's also a clockmaker, and apparently a lot of it takes place on Christmas Eve. So I definitely want to read this one before Christmas. And it's been too long since I've picked up an Elizabeth Gouge. It says, a compelling saga of an unlikely friendship threaded together by redemption and grace. So yes, just a little over 300 pages for this one. And I do also have coming in the mail Enid Blyton's Christmas stories. I have not actually read any Enid Blyton because I did not grow up British. So I didn't know about her books growing up. I actually would be interested in picking them up now, but I heard about this through the Tea and Tattle podcast, and I just thought a short story collection of like really easy, fun, festive stories sounds like so much fun. So yeah, hopefully that will get here in a timely manner. And then I also ordered, and it should be coming, A Merry Christmas and Other Stories by Louisa May Alcott. It's in this really pretty edition, and I thought, you know what, this will be a gem to have every year. And, or even if I don't want to read it every year, every other year, you know. So I think short stories are just a good thing to have around Christmas time. And then I also have on audiobook, I have on hold, so hopefully it will come in, Casino Royale by Ian Fleming. I've long wanted to read one of the James Bond series. So this one is available on audiobook. It's also the first in the series, rather conveniently. So I thought this could be a really fun kind of espionage and intrigue that could be really fun to read during Christmas time. Okay, and then a theme of children's books. Let me get this pulled up again because I can't remember all the synopses. Going to do a library trip tomorrow, so I will be picking up these, and let's just get in here. Okay, so the first I heard about from Mel at Mel's Bookland Adventures, and it's Nevermoor, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. And it's a new series about a cursed girl who escapes death and finds herself in a magical world and then is tested beyond her wildest imagination. So it just sounds really whimsical and fun, and the library had it. So I plan on picking that up tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to trying that out. I think whimsical children's books could be really fun. It is fairly long though. It's over 600 pages apparently. So we'll see, you know, how much I finish, but I think also just having something magical could be fun. And then another one that I will be picking up at the library, and this is one I'd like to read definitely before Christmas, is called Winterfrost. This is by Michelle Houtz, And Christmas has come, and with it a sparkling white winterfrost over the countryside. But 12-year-old Bettina's parents have been called away, leaving her in charge of the house and the farm and the baby. She neglects to set out the traditional bowl of Christmas rice pudding for the tiny Nisa, who are rumored to look after the family and their livestock. So then the baby disappears during a nap, and she realizes she should have put it out, but she ventures into the miniature world of these mischievous folk. And so that just sounds so much fun. I think it's based on Danish folklore. Are there any Danes out there who watch me? You can let me know if that is true, but it just sounds really fun. And then one recommended by a friend from college is Miracles on Maple Hill. This is realistic fiction, I think. I don't think it's, I don't think it actually happened. But it takes place on Maple Hill. I think it's during the Revolutionary War. And her father is recovering from being a prisoner of war. The small town and the varied happenings and activities of country life help them to recover from past unhappiness. So it just looks very wintry, but this is one that I would be okay scooching over into January. I'm like making myself feel better about January coming by having lots of books that I want to read. And then lastly, one that was on my TBR for last Christmas, but I got sidetracked and did not read it. And this is one I would love to read before Christmas because it ends on Christmas Day, is Mandy by Julie Edwards, aka Julie Andrews. This is an abominable copy. It does not do the beauty of the story justice, but it was $1 at a used bookstore a couple summers ago when I met with the booktubers. But it's such a good story for any of you out there looking for like really quality fiction, especially for girls. I think maybe you could get some boys to read this, but I think girls, it'll just be like not hard to sell on them at all. And it's about Mandy, who lives in an orphanage where there's a big wall surrounding it. She climbs over the wall and she finds this little ramshackle cottage, and she spruces it up and takes care of it, and her life changes from that. It's really, really sweet. So I really would love to read it. So we'll see if I get to that. Then lastly, I do have, I talked about several books. I would be fine them going post-Christmas. But I do have some specifically that I set aside then for post-Christmas, and fine with them even going into January. But one I know I will be reading right after Christmas is a buddy read with Ange from Beyond the Pages and Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures. We are going to be reading another Mary Stuart, and this is Rose Cottage. So this is much shorter than the last Mary Stuart I read. This is only 245 pages. Kate Herrick, widowed in the war, returns to her childhood home in Todd Hall to retrieve some family papers before Rose Cottage is sold. So it seems like there have been suspicious things happening in Rose Cottage. And I just think it would be really fabulous to save a Mary Stuart for after Christmas. I'm really looking forward to Ange and I, and then I think other people here and there, like Mel, are going to be reading a Mary Stuart a month. So I have Miss Reed that I'm going to be doing, and the Mary Stuart. I think those are two very doable authors. Obviously, I may take a month off when the baby comes, but until then, I'm really looking forward to it. And then I thought, what better way also to end/start the new year is Persuasion by Jane Austen. It's been, oh gracious, I think it's been 4 years since I read Persuasion, and I just think it's her coziest book. It's just so wonderful. And I might then reward myself with the 95 movie adaptation. So yeah, I really, really want to read Persuasion. And then another one that I ordered and is coming in the mail, and this is one, like I said, if I feel the real urge to read it at the end of December, I will, but if I start it in January, that will be okay too. Because I don't want to just have all the exciting reading in December, but that is Frost Hollow Hall by Emma Carroll. And Emma Carroll is an author I think I found out about from Bookstagram. And I think she writes really whimsical children's historical fiction. And if I really like this one from her, then I think it'd be fun to pick up one every Christmas. And it's about a little girl who is skating on a lake and falls through, and an angel rescues her, and then like I think kind of really magical, wonderful things happen to her. So this is such a beautiful cover. I'm not gonna lie, like I was very pleased with how pretty the cover was. So it's an extra bonus. And then lastly, 2 years ago after Christmas, I read The Shepherd's Life by James Rebanks and enjoyed it so much. And I was thinking I wanted for Nonfiction November more literary, like nature memoirs. And so I had on my Nonfiction November TBR Sea Room by Adam Nicholson, where his father buys an island in the Hebrides where there are puffins, and it's supposed to be really beautifully written. So I thought it would be really neat to pick that up. So I have, I'll be getting, like renewing a copy at the library and saving that for the end of the month, because that was a really nice way to end the year with The Shepherd's Life a couple of years ago. So yes, I have blathered on long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about all the books that I'm reading. Please let me know if you're participating in Cloak and Dagger Christmas, or what Christmassy books you are looking forward to reading. And I will see you guys for another video soon. Bye.